Hello, again, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight will be class number 3 of a series of classes on how to interpret a horoscope. And tonight is going to be a continuation of the last class on the ascendant. But actually the name of the class is going to be really how to determine the strength of the planets, how to determine how strong a horoscope is. This is an important question in astrology. How strong is a chart? Because this is one thing that's very important to know. I mean, you could get a chart that looks terrific on the surface, but then you see it's a weak chart, and then you say to yourself, well, look, this guy's got tremendous talent, skills, all sorts of good things shining, but he's a weak man. So you ask yourself, what's he going to accomplish in this world? And the answer is not too much. And you see somebody else, you don't see he's blessed with so many talents, but you see a very strong chart, you start to think, well, he could accomplish a lot. Why? Because it's a strong chart. It has power, it has drive, it has determination, it wants to succeed. And that's important. You have to take that into account. And so the next classes are going to be talking about that. How to determine how strong a chart is, really. And at this stage, I just want to focus on one point in determining how strong a chart is. And that's by looking where the planets fall in the chart. In other words, if there's a planet in the first house, the fourth house, the seventh, or the 10th house, which are the main points in the horoscope, then a planet in one of those houses is going to work 100%. If a planet is in the second house, the fifth house, the 8th house, or the 11th house, then it's going to work less. It's only going to be working 50%. It's only going to express its strength 50%. And if it's in 3, 6, 9, and 12, then it will only express itself 25%, which is very weak. We're going to see in a while that the 9th house is an exception, but let's leave that for now. And so you see, so it's important to determine how strong or where a planet is located. And now that comes in the idea of, again, of the ascendant. You see, if a planet is in 1, 4, 7, and 10, then it makes very strong, it has a very strong connection with the ascendant. In other words, those houses, 1, 4, 7, and 10 are the main houses in the chart. The first house, like we said before, is the person himself. The 4th and the 10th house are his parents, mother and father, which play tremendous influence on his life. And of course, for other things, the 4th house is the home, the 10th house is the profession. It's a pivotal points. And the 7th house is the marriage partner or the open enemies. And the partners. So these are the people that the mother, father, marriage partner, they play the most influence on a person's life. And all those houses, what they have in common is they're strongly connected to the ascendant by opposition or by square. In other words, there's a big struggle with the ascendant has a big struggle using the planets that are on those positions. And so they're going to modify the ascendant in a certain way, and they're going to have a strong influence on the chart. On the other hand, if we say that the planets in the planets in the 2nd, 6th, 8th, and 12th, they're considered the bad planets. They're considered, actually, it's interesting, those planets, 2nd, 6th, 8th, and 12th. Let's come back to that. First of all, afterwards, then you have the planets in the, well, yeah, there's houses that are considered bad. I want to explain a new secret now. There's houses that are considered bad in astrology. What are those houses? The houses 2, 6, 8, and 12, right? 6 and 12 work 25% of the time. 2 and 8, 50%. But they have one thing in common: they're considered bad houses. Planets in those houses are determined towards events in life that are not considered so good. The second house is money. We'll talk about why money is no good in a minute, in the next class. And the sixth house is servitude, which of course, debt, servitude, illness, of course, is bad. The eighth house is accidents, death. The 12th house is secret enemies, things like that, illnesses, long-term illnesses. So all those houses are considered bad. Well, I'll tell you, the second house, my teacher said the simple explanation why the second house is bad is if you have a lot of money, it leads you astray. It's pashut. If you're a poor man, a poor woman, you can't go after your desires so easily because you don't have the money to fulfill them. But somebody who's got tons of money, they can really go off and they can do all sorts of things. You look at America today; it's all because they're rich. They got a lot of free time and they're rich, and they go off. But a deeper explanation, my teacher Zoltan Mason used to say, is that the ruler of the second house, the house of money, is the house of death in relation to the marriage partner. If you start from the marriage partner, count 8, you'll get to the second house, which is, in terms of your own ascendant, it's the house of money, but in terms of your marriage partner, it's the house of death. So if the marriage partner dies, it has a serious repercussion on the person's life, especially if the one who's making the big money dies. Well, the marriage partner is going to suffer. And so those houses are considered, so you start to see now, and why are they bad houses? Because they're unconnected to the ascendant. If you look closely, the second house makes no aspect to the ascendant. The 6th, no aspect. The 8th, none. And the 12th, none. And so you see that the strength of the planets are determined because of the relationship where the planets are to the ascendant. And I thank you all for listening. Good evening.